Hey everyone, it's Alex again, and I am back with another awards show nominations video. Today I'm going to be talking about the nominations for the 22nd Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards. Now these nominations came out on Wednesday, a day before the Golden Globes, but I decided to make the Golden Globes video first because the Golden Globes air about 2 weeks before the Screen Actors Guild Awards. The Screen Actors Guild Awards will air on Saturday, January 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT and TBS. The Golden Globes will be airing Sunday, January 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC, hosted by Ricky Gervais. The Screen Actors Guild Awards usually doesn't have a host because, unlike the Golden Globes, the Screen Actors Guild Awards is usually only 2 hours long instead of 3, so they just zoom by as quickly as they can with the awards. While the Golden Globes have about 25 awards, the Screen Actors Guild Awards only have about 15, as this is the only award show where all of the categories are acting related. And part of the reason for that is that all of the nominees and winners are chosen by SAG-AFTRA, which is the main actors union in the world. SAG meaning Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA meaning American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So whether or not an actor works primarily in film, television, or in commercials, chances are they have membership in SAG-AFTRA. It's how they get paid, it's how they get future work, it's how they make their living as an actor, by being a member of this union. And being part of this union means that they get to vote for these awards. Usually these awards are chosen by like a nomination committee of, I think, 2,000 people or something, and then all 160,000 members, I believe, are eligible to vote. And the Screen Actors Guild Awards, even though they've only been around since 1995, they're often considered one of the most important award shows of awards season because, like the Golden Globes, they honor both television and film. But unlike the Golden Globes, they often serve as a strong precursor of what's going to happen at the Oscars and the Emmys, because the Golden Globe Awards are notorious for being unpredictable and left field with their winners. A lot of times they do mirror what will happen at the Oscars and the Emmys, but the Screen Actors Guild Awards has a much better track record for the most part. And part of the reason for that is because of the memberships of who votes. As I said in my Golden Globes video, the nominations and winners are chosen by a group of foreign journalists who write for movie magazines from all over the world, whereas the Screen Actors Guild Awards are voted on by professional actors, and many of these actors are either members, and many of these actors are also members of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which runs the Oscars, and the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which runs the Emmys. And in both of those organizations, the actors branch of each of those organizations makes up the biggest voting block. Like, I know it's about 20% for the Oscars. I don't know what it is for the Emmys, but it's pretty big. But that's all I need to say about that, because it's time right now to get down to the main business of this video, which are the Screen Actors Guild Award nominations themselves. And what I'm going to do is, like I did with my Golden Globes video, I'm going to break down the television nominations first, and I'm going to do the movie nominations second. Now, these are pretty unique. Some of these awards. For instance, in television, there is no lead and supporting categories. They just do male performers and female performers, and they combine both lead and supporting roles into one category. They don't do that for film, though. In film, though, they still have lead versus supporting, but they honor both men and women for both of those. And also, this award show is also one of the few award shows to have stunt performers in both television and film. However, those two awards are not usually presented on the main telecast itself. Those are usually announced on the red carpet. But the rest of them usually are presented live on the show, and here is who is up for consideration this year. So here are the official nominees for the 22nd Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards, beginning with television. Best Male Actor in a Comedy Series: Ty Burrell, Modern Family; Louis C.K., Louie; William H. Macy, Shameless; Jim Parsons, The Big Bang Theory; Jeffrey Tambor, Transparent; Best Female Actor in a Comedy Series: Uzo Aduba, Orange is the New Black; Edie Falco, Nurse Jackie; Ellie Kemper, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt; Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Veep; Amy Poehler, Parks and Recreation. Best Male Actor in a Drama Series: Peter Dinklage, Game of Thrones; Jon Hamm, Mad Men; Rami Malek, Mr. Robot; Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul; Kevin Spacey, House of Cards. Best Female Actor in a Drama Series: Claire Danes, Homeland; Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder; Juliana Margulies, The Good Wife; Maggie Smith, Downton Abbey; Robin Wright, House of Cards. Best Male Actor in a Television Movie or Miniseries: Idris Elba, Luther; Ben Kingsley, Tut; Ray Liotta, Texas Rising; Bill Murray, A Very Murray Christmas; Mark Rylance, Wolf Hall. Best Female Actor in a Television Movie or Miniseries: Nicole Kidman, Grace of Monaco; Queen Latifah, Bessie; Christina Ricci, The Lizzie Borden Chronicles; Susan Sarandon, The Secret Life of Marilyn Monroe; Kristen Wiig, The Spoils Before Dying. Best Stunt Ensemble in a Television Series: The Blacklist; Daredevil; Game of Thrones; Homeland; The Walking Dead. Best Ensemble in a Comedy Series: The Big Bang Theory; Key and Peele; Modern Family; Orange is the New Black; Transparent; Veep. Best Ensemble in a Drama Series: Downton Abbey; Game of Thrones; Homeland; House of Cards; Mad Men. And now onto the film nominations. Best Male Actor in a Supporting Role: Christian Bale, The Big Short; Idris Elba, Beasts of No Nation; Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies; Michael Shannon, 99 Homes; Jacob Tremblay, Room. Best Female Actor in a Supporting Role: Rooney Mara, Carol; Rachel McAdams, Spotlight; Helen Mirren, Trumbo; Alicia Vikander, The Danish Girl; Kate Winslet, Steve Jobs. Best Male Actor in a Leading Role: Bryan Cranston, Trumbo; Johnny Depp, Black Mass; Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant; Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs; Eddie Redmayne, The Danish Girl. Best Female Actor in a Leading Role: Cate Blanchett, Carol; Brie Larson, Room; Helen Mirren, Woman in Gold; Saoirse Ronan, Brooklyn; Sarah Silverman, I Smile Back. Best Stunt Ensemble in a Motion Picture: Everest; Furious 7; Jurassic World; Mad Max Fury Road; Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And finally, Best Cast of a Motion Picture: Beasts of No Nation; The Big Short; Spotlight; Straight Outta Compton; Trumbo. And those are all the nominations for the 22nd Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards. As you can see, it's a much shorter list than the Golden Globes, but like the Golden Globes, I'm now going to tell you what I think of the Screen Actors Guild Award nominations. Best Male Actor in a Comedy Series. Can't really complain about this. I'm kind of glad to see Jim Parsons still in here. He didn't get nominated at the Golden Globes. Even though The Big Bang Theory is in its 9th season now, I believe, it's actually still a pretty funny show. And I think a large part of that is due to Jim Parsons. I know there are some of you out there watching this who don't like The Big Bang Theory, and that's fine. I mean, I still like that show, but I can understand why some don't like it. But I'm glad at least Jim Parsons is in here. Best Female Actor in a Comedy Series. Nomination list looks very good. Very glad to see Amy Poehler in here. I was very upset that she wasn't nominated at the Golden Globes because Parks and Recreation had its series finale earlier this year, so this is the very last time that Amy Poehler can be nominated for it. She's probably not going to win because Julia Louis-Dreyfus seems just completely unbeatable in any awards show that she's nominated in for Veep. But you never know. Best Male Actor in a Drama Series looks very good. I'm very happy to see Kevin Spacey in here. Like the situation with Amy Poehler, I was disappointed when he was not nominated at the Golden Globes, especially because Kevin Spacey won last year at both the Golden Globes and the Screen Actors Guild Awards in this category. So I'm very glad he's back here. Best Female Actor in a Drama Series, can't complain, looks very good. Best Male Actor in a Television Movie or Miniseries. A lot of these nominations are pretty out of left field, to be honest, because the Screen Actors Guild Awards, they have, every award show often has different rules about what constitutes like a miniseries and TV movie. Well, obviously a TV movie is a TV movie no matter what, but certain award shows have different rules about miniseries. For instance, the Golden Globes have a rule where I think if a show is does not have a certain number of episodes, then it can't be considered like a comedy or a drama series. If it's below that minimum level, then it has to be nominated as a mini series or limited series, whatever you want to call it. But according to the Screen Actors Guild rules, though, a limited series has to specifically last a few episodes and then end right there. So mini-series that are, I guess, what you could call anthology series, where each season has a different storyline, but is either set in the same place or uses a lot of the same actors, like American Horror Story or Fargo, then it would be considered a drama series or a comedy series in the eyes of the Screen Actors Guild Awards, because even if something's a little bit different every season, you're still using a lot of the same elements. And in the Screen Actors Guild Awards' eyes, that's enough for them to count it as a continuous recurring series, not its own special thing. For them, a miniseries has to be like a one-time event, such as Wolf Hall, because that was a series that was only meant to be was only meant to have the 6 episodes that it aired, and that was it. So, and most of these I haven't seen. Actually, none of these. I haven't seen any of the nominees here. I heard Wolf Hall was excellent. It got a lot of nominations at the Emmys last fall and at the Golden Globes recently, and I've heard it's an excellent adaptation of the novels that it was based on. Tut, I had heard about it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. But it looked pretty good, and unlike a lot of what Hollywood has traditionally done, it used a lot of ethnically appropriate actors to tell the story of ancient Egypt, because Hollywood has long been notorious for using white actors to play Egyptian characters in movies about Egypt. Texas Rising, I haven't seen that. I know it aired on the History Channel, but it got a lot of bad reviews from critics. I think it only has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. But basically, Texas Rising is the story of how, Texas became its own country and then a state. Kind of depicts the battle at the Alamo and all that. I heard it just wasn't good, but I guess I'll have to check it out now if I'm to make a decision about who I think should and will win in this category. I've heard quite a lot of good things about A Very Merry Christmas. It's on Netflix, so I'll definitely be able to watch it there. So with all that, I can't really say whether or not this category has a good set of nominees. I mean, just in terms of names alone, just in terms of these actors' names and their overall reputation, it looks very good. But since I haven't really seen anything there, I can't really make a proper judgment about it. For Best Female Actor in a Television Movie or Miniseries, again, kind of the same thing. The only thing I have seen on here is Grace of Monaco. And boy, was that movie horrible. It was just so boring. I mean, granted, Nicole Kidman did the very best she could. She was actually pretty good in the movie. But she had a terrible screenplay to work with, and the direction was not very good at all. But you could tell she was just clearly doing the absolute best that she could. And she's the reason why I gave that movie a 2 instead of a 0. But these other 4 things on here, Bessie, Lizzie Borden Chronicles, Secret Life of Marilyn Monroe, and Spoils Before Dying. I haven't seen any of those, but I've heard some excellent things about some of them, particularly Bessie. And just from these names alone, this nominee list looks very good. But like their male counterparts, I can't really make a proper judgment on this category because I haven't really seen too much of what's on here. For Best Stunt Ensemble, this looks really good. I'm not surprised by any of these nominees. I can't really think of one that was wrongfully nominated over a more deserving nominee. Best Ensemble in a Comedy Series, no surprise here, except for Key and Peele. I never would have imagined them getting nominated here. Their show is hilarious, don't get me wrong, but with a sketch comedy show, you never ever imagine it getting a nomination at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And this is the very first time a sketch comedy show has gotten a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination in anything. But, you know, Key and Peele, they're hilarious. Their show was pretty groundbreaking, so good for them. And since their show just aired its last season earlier this year, I think this is a nice way to say goodbye to them, as they both go off now to pursue their own separate projects. Best Ensemble in a Drama Series, very pleased with this set of nominees, especially Mad Men, because Mad Men had been absent from this category for a few years now, but thanks to its very stellar last season, it's now back for one last time, and I think it's well deserved. Maybe it will even win as a goodbye present, so we'll see. For the movies, Best Male Actor in a Supporting Role. Like the Golden Globes, I'm very shocked and disappointed that Michael Keaton is not in here for Spotlight, because he was just absolutely phenomenal in that movie. I haven't seen The Big Short yet because it doesn't come to my area until December 23rd, but I find it kind of paradoxical that Christian Bale is nominated as a supporting actor here, yet he was nominated as a lead at the Golden Globes. And there's quite a lot of paradoxes here, as we'll see in other categories, but it goes to show you how a lot of award shows have their own set of rules, their own way of thinking, because it's often crazy in terms of whether or not an actor should be considered lead or supporting. The other nominees I'm not really surprised to see in here. Michael Shannon is continuing to be a dark horse contender because not many people had been predicting him to get nominated for 99 Homes, even though his performance had been deservedly praised by a lot of film critics because he was just absolutely excellent in 99 Homes as this very snake-like corrupt real estate agent. Whether or not he'll win, I don't know, but he's certainly shaken up the race a little bit. But most surprising on here is Jacob Tremblay for Room. But that's a good thing, though, because his performance in Room was absolutely incredible. I mean, his performance there was not the kind of performance you would expect a child actor to give, because he's playing a role that you almost never see a child actor play, because he's playing a kid who has literally spent the first 5 years of his life inside a shed with his mother, because his mother was taken captive by this psycho who frequently raped her and then impregnated her, and she gave birth to that baby and had to raise him in the shed because, you know, the captor had pretty much virtually ensured that she could never leave. But they eventually do get rescued, and both she and her son she has to reacclimate to the real world while he has to experience it for the first time, because up until he gets rescued, he has never been outside that shed. And the shed is called Room, which is why the movie is called Room. But Jacob Tremblay in that movie, despite his young age, he is absolutely phenomenal. He holds your attention. His performance does not feel gimmicky in any slight way. He's not trying to be cutesy like a lot of directors usually make like a lot of times child actors usually are in movies. You know, this is not a movie aimed at all for kids. I mean, this is a very adult-oriented movie, but he holds it all. He commands your attention. He makes you feel for this character. He makes you fully root for this character, which is what any actor should do. But, you know, he had to bear a lot of responsibility on his little shoulders, and, you know, I don't know how he managed to pull it off. I'm sure it was a good amount of natural talent and a good amount of sensitive direction from the director, but You know, and I think in real life he's only like 8 or 9 years old, but you know, but it's just so well done that he has a very bright future ahead of him. You know, there's talk of him potentially getting an Oscar nomination for his performance, and should he get nominated for an Oscar and win, he'd actually break the record of the youngest ever Oscar winner in history. Right now, the youngest ever Oscar winner in history is Tatum O'Neal, who won an Oscar at the age of 10 for Best Supporting Actress in the movie Paper Moon, and that was all the way back in 1973. Best Female Actor in a Supporting Role. So this is another paradox we have here, because Rooney Mara and Alicia Vikander were both nominated as leads for the Golden Globes. And there's been a lot of controversy in their movies about whether or not their characters are really lead or supporting, because they both play a major part, but at the same time they're also both considered to be the second main character of the movie, and another person is considered to be the true main character. So as a result, people are torn over whether or not they should be considered lead or supporting. But the Screen Actors Guild has determined that they're both supporting. I still haven't seen Carol or the Danish Girl, but I've heard a lot of great things about both of them. And Trumbo is continuing to be a surprise contender here, because up until this point it hadn't really been getting a lot of awards attention. You know, critics had given the movie pretty good reviews, but it wasn't like getting as nearly unanimous praise as other movies like Spotlight, The Martian, Mad Max Fury Road, Bridge of Spies. But, you know, considering it's a movie about the history of Hollywood, and when you make a movie about the history of Hollywood, there's a lot of pressure to make sure that history is portrayed right. I guess they must have done an extremely good job. I'm about to see Trumbo the day after I film this, so let's hope all this hype is well deserved. And Kate Winslet, phenomenal in Steve Jobs, glad she's here. And same with Rachel McAdams for Spotlight. I don't know what her Oscar chances will be, but she was wonderful in that movie. This is the kind of movie that nobody would have expected Rachel McAdams to star in 11 years ago, when she was becoming a big star in movies like Mean Girls and The Notebook. But she rose up to the challenge, and she did a wonderful job, especially for a film that deals with very serious, disturbing subject matter. In the case of Spotlight, it's about the team of newspaper reporters from the Boston Globe who uncovered the sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church involving pedophile priests, and they ended up winning the Pulitzer Prize for their efforts. Best Male Actor in a Leading Role. Once again, like the Golden Globes, got a lot of great nominees, but there is one big snub. But this time it's not Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is nominated here, but this time it's Matt Damon. Ugh, I'm very disappointed by this, because Matt Damon had to hold his own in The Martian for 90% of the movie at least, and he did such a great job, especially with all his witty one-liners, and he made you root for his character so much that you became truly, truly invested in everything he did. And when an actor can do that, they deserve all the recognition they can get. But there's still hope, because the Oscar nominations still don't come out for another month, and I have a very, very strong feeling that Oscar voters will not ignore Matt Damon's performance. But even though I love Matt Damon's performance a lot, the one I was most excited to see actually is Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs, because like I said in my Golden Globes video, Michael Fassbender didn't just look and act like Steve Jobs. I read the Steve Jobs biography that this movie was based on, and that biography was almost 600 pages long, and everything I read about Steve Jobs in that book, Michael Fassbender perfectly brought him back to life. Best Female Actor in a Leading Role, very glad for Brie Larson. She was so great in Room. In fact, I believe she has given the best lead actress performance of the year. It's going to be very hard for anyone to top what she did. Still haven't seen Brooklyn yet, but I will very soon. I did see Woman in Gold, and that was it wasn't an amazing movie, but it was pretty good. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. But Helen Mirren was easily the best thing about that movie. She was absolutely phenomenal. The movie's distributors had been pushing very hard for Helen Mirren to get nominations for her performance in this movie, and it looks like in this case it worked. You know, she Helen Mirren is almost kind of like the British equivalent of Meryl Streep. But pretty much she's one of those actresses where any role she plays, she turns it to gold. And whether or not she's going to be nominated at the Oscars in the future, I don't know, because the Screen Actors Guild Awards, they like to have a few of their own left field nominations that the Oscars won't recognize, and this probably might be one of them because this performance hasn't really been nominated anywhere else for anything, not even in little film critics circle awards. But the one positive thing about this is that it's proof that movies that are released earlier in the year can still make an impression at the end of the year. Sarah Silverman for I Smile Back. That is completely out of left field. In a way, I guess it's kind of deserved because the film has received a lot of praise for Sarah Silverman's performance, and it's a dramatic performance too because according to all the plot details I've read, she plays a housewife that struggles with depression and substance abuse, and that's a far cry from what Sarah Silverman usually does because if you know Sarah Silverman, you know she's very famous for her extremely raunchy comedy and also for dating Jimmy Kimmel. But the film itself has been getting a lot of mixed praise. The film holds like a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the general consensus is that Sarah Silverman's performance is good, but the movie is uneven. The film was never released in my area, so I cannot personally say whether I think it's good. I might see if I can rent a DVD copy from a library near me. But yeah, will she probably get an Oscar nomination for this? I don't know, because usually comedians can get Oscar nominations for dramatic performances, but they usually have to ride a strong wave of critical praise to do so, like Steve Carell in Foxcatcher last year. What helped him get an Oscar nomination for that was due to the fact that the film had been riding on months of critical praise, starting all the way back at the Cannes Film Festival, which is probably the most prestigious film festival in the world. Best Stunt Ensemble in a Motion Picture. I can't find fault with any of these. These are all very well deserving, especially Mad Max Fury Road, because some of the stunt work they pulled off in that movie, it's like, how the frickin' hell did they do that? I'm sure the same is said about Furious 7, but in Furious 7 it's all more about fast cars, while in Mad Max Fury Road they use cars, they use big rigs, they use motorcycles, they use ATVs, they use everything. And I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been to choreograph that stunt work in a hot desert environment. And Best Cast of a Motion Picture. Now, this is not always the best precursor of what will get a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars, because this is more about celebrating an ensemble cast rather than the quality of a movie as a whole. So even if a movie does not have the highest praise, if it had a strong ensemble cast, it can get nominated here. Of these movies, Spotlight is the only one I've seen. Beasts of No Nation I will see on Netflix. I've just been very busy and haven't had time to sit down and watch it, but I am going to watch it. Straight Out and Big Short and Trumbo, like I said, I still haven't seen those. I wanted to see Straight Outta Compton when it came out in theaters, but at the time it came out I was working a summer job, and it was a very stressful time because the job itself was very stressful. I was working 2 jobs actually. I would literally go from one job to another during the day, and it just did not leave me a lot of time to go to the movies, because once I'd get home at night from work, I'd just be so tired that I'd eat dinner and just then go lie down in my bed and go on Facebook and then go to sleep. Yeah, so I missed the chance to see Straight Outta Compton, but I will find time to sit down and watch it now that it's out on DVD. So those are my overall thoughts about the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Overall, I'm pretty impressed by what I see. The only snubs that really bother me, I guess, are Matt Damon not getting a Best Actor nomination, and The Martian, I forgot to mention, The Martian not getting a Best Ensemble nomination. You want to talk about a great film with a great ensemble cast, The Martian is one of them, because it is very rare to have a film with such a huge cast of great actors, and these are the actors that appear in The Martian. Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, Jeff Daniels, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Kate Mara, Sebastian Stan, Kristen Wiig, Donald Glover, Michael Pena, Sean Bean, all of them bring their A game to this movie, and whether they're on screen for the entire movie like Matt Damon, or they're only in it for a couple of scenes like Kristen Wiig and Donald Glover, nobody is wasted in this movie. Every character has a role to play in the story about trying to rescue an astronaut stranded on Mars. And once everything comes together and the movie finishes, you feel like you have watched a great story that has no flaws, no plot holes, and is just like perfect from beginning to end. So on that note, it makes me very, very disappointed and upset that The Martian was not nominated here. But, you know, I guess you can't always have everything. But apart from that, I can't really complain too much about this. I'm glad a lot of nominees that weren't nominated at the Golden Globes were nominated here, and it should be a very interesting show to see who wins. So with that being said, I'll see you guys later, and I'll be uploading more videos in the future about Screen Actors Guild Award, the Golden Globe Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards, and of course the Oscars, because this is the big time right now for awards season, and I'm going to try and keep up with everything as it comes out. So see you guys later. Bye.